Hey y'all, it's been a while since I've done a video. Been kind of sick. So I thought I would do this video and play around a little bit. So I have my journal, my Moleskine journal, and I was testing out different sprays and whatnot on my background. And I thought, well, I don't want to really waste it. So I thought that I would experiment and try something. And why not do it on a video so everybody can watch me and watch me fail. If it doesn't work, and if it works, hey, yay me. So this is all I'm going to do, and it's very simple. And I think that we all have in our journals, we have pages that we've done, not finished, played around. I mean, you know, sometimes I've been very uninspired. I've had a rough month, and I've been very sick. And when I get sick, I don't feel like doing anything, or I get uninspired. It's just like this weird cycle I go through. So I thought, okay, well, let me try something. I have I was trying out sprays and whatnot, and I thought, well, let's try, play, see what we get going on. So what I'm going to use today are the acrylic dabbers by Adirondack. I think they're Ranger. Yeah, Ranger. And they're the ones that have the foam on the top. So I thought, I have the stencil, and it's of trees. I think it's Artist Workshop or something. I'm not sure. But it's really cool. And I love trees. I draw trees. I'm a tree freak. So I thought, well, what can I do differently? And to show people that when you journal, you don't have to be an expert at drawing a tree or drawing whatever. Use what you have on hand and think differently about it. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. So I'm just going to put my stencil down. I got my paint. Let me see if I can. I'm kind of like far out here because I got a lot of. It's been a while since I videoed. Okay, so all I'm going to do is take my dabber and squeeze it a little bit so we can start seeing the blue come through. And we're just going to give it a rough stencil because it's going to represent the sky behind the tree. And you can see I'm just trying to fill in. Now, if you don't want to bang and you kind of just want to, on the outsides, kind of give it a, well, I'm banging. Give it a little, smush. You can do that too. This is acrylic paint inside. And I'm just going to keep banging on here and hope that I get what I want. I know, loud. Would it be me if it wasn't loud? You just want a general outline of your tree. And I'm going to take it over here. I'm going to move my hands in a minute and make sure I get this half done to my satisfaction. And you can see in here, I didn't, I got to do my camera a little bit better here, in a better position. It's been a while since I've been live. We're on vacation right now on Crafty Link, and I really haven't done anything live. I've kind of just been pushing it out of the way. Okay. I'm going to be okay with that. And I'm going to go over here and work. We've got a little tentacle kind of branches, and I'm going to hold it. And just keep pounding away, doing little twists. If you don't have these and you want to use a paintbrush, use your paintbrush. Use your brush, your pouncer, or whatever paintbrush you have, really, because you just want to get the color on so you can see the stencil underneath. And you don't, it's okay if it kind of runs and does all that, because I have an idea in my head, which sometimes can turn out to be a good thing. Now you can just kind of go like this too, to make sure you get in there. Because it's more of just a idea of the tree. And I have a great branches over here. Just helps make the ink come out more. I think it was a QVC or HSN maybe was selling these, and the Tim Holtz or acrylic paint dabbers from Adirondack. Now you can see we have that, and I'm just going to turn this over on the other side of the page. I don't know what kind of relief we will get from that, what kind of print, but let's see. If nothing else, it'll just add color. I hate wasting. I'll just give it a rub and pull it up, and it's just going to add, you know, a little bit extra color over here. I'm not too worried about it. Now, as you can see, and I'm going to move my camera in, I think I'm going to concentrate on this page first. And let me move it in a bit. I really got to get a better system here. Move my camera up. Okay. So you can see underneath here, we have the tree branches and all. We're going to go over that in a minute, but we know up here is the sky. So I'm just going to take this and kind of rub it in. Give it a squeeze. My dog's coming downstairs. He hears me talk, and he's like, who's down there? And I'm just going to do that. And I'm actually going to add a little bit of the lighter. This is called Pool. This one was called Sailboat Blue. And this one's called Pool. And it's just going to give it a little lighter of a thing going on. And with these, you kind of have to... They're hard if you have problems with your hands. I have RA and fibro and all, so these can be a bit tricky. They're awesome, but for me, they can be a little bit tricky. So I'm just going to bang it a little bit. And see, it's making my camera go off. And just kind of give it a little swirl in there. And we can go back in this later. I just want a general idea so I can see. And maybe we'll bang some over here. And I like it because you can see, as I'm doing it, you can see the color still underneath. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let's see if I can move this up some. I'm sure I can. Can you tell it's been a while? Yeah, we'll move you back. Okay. So, I am going to take... We have our stencil, you know, you want to blow it dry a little bit, heat set it, whatever you want to do. These are acrylic paints, so they're not going to be water, reactivated with water. If you use certain sprays and whatnot, which I do have some on here, they will be reactive when you put another water-based thing on it. These dabbers aren't. So I'm just going to give it a quick once over. And then I'm going to take, if I can find it, just for me, I'm going to color in where my tree is. Very lightly. I'm not pressing hard. I know these colors that aren't done by blue are all going to be my branches. And it's just a very quick sketch. So I know where I want to go in with my browns. Yeah, and more so I want to do it up here so I can have an idea. Because I really want to get the tree. And you will notice, because I know to you it probably looks like a mess and how, you know, but you will notice as you start doing this with the pencil, and you don't have to hit every area, you will then see exactly where the tree and the branches are, which is going to be, you know, really awesome once you start going in with the brown. Now, this is a trick I use for myself. It just gives me a little bit more of a clarity of where I want to hit. You know, because like right here I have some, and it's just like I said, it's a mind thing for me. You might not even have to do it or want to do it. It's all on you. Now, what I want to do is decide, do I want this to be in pencil, or, I mean, do I want this to be in marker? Do I want it to be in paint? And I think I'm going to decide. I'm going to do it in a little bit of burnt sienna. And I'm just going to use some golden, but I'm only using golden because that's what I have sitting here on the floor next to me. Let's see. You can use whatever color you want. You can use, whatever brand you want. Liquitex, Ceramicoat, Martha Stewart, I love hers. Any kind of folk art, you know, whatever you have. Like I have, like this is one of my favorite color greens, and I buy it in every brand whenever it's on sale. So don't think, oh, you have to use golden, because you don't. I'm going to use my little, this is a stamp, you know, you put your stamp on and do it, but I'm just going to put my little bit of paint on there. I'm really bummed over the way I should have probably set this up a little bit better. Come on, baby, be good to me. People use all kinds of different things to put their paint on. Sometimes I just take off the lid after I shake it, and I'll use what's in here. So maybe we'll do that. And I'm just going to pick a paintbrush, whatever I have that's a decent enough size. I'm going to stick it in my paint, and I'm just going to follow up. Now remember, you don't need to have perfection. Because I have more of the opposite stencil than a tree stencil right here that I'm using. But if you have the stencil that is the opposite, that when you stencil in, you get the tree effect, that's awesome also. This one I just happen to have sitting here, and I thought, why not? I know a lot of these bright colors underneath that I got to cover. As I cover them, you will see, I'll probably leave the bigger part or the smaller parts for a smaller brush. It just adds more dimension and depth into the branches. And you just go through and follow. It doesn't have to be perfect. It gives you a guide. Something else you can do, and maybe I'll try it when I'm done with this on the other side. I'm going to get a smaller brush here, but I'm just going to follow out the branches themselves. If you have this stencil, and it's one of my favorite stencils, I'm a tree freak, as everybody on my channel knows. I'm just giving it some color. I don't really need to worry about the details yet, because I'll do a darker color to do more of the branches, but I want to have, you know, an idea of what I have going on, and I need a little bit more brown here. This is burnt sienna. And I'll bring it in closer when I'm done to kind of show you. And it's just a little bit of fun. You don't have to know how to draw or do anything other than what we're doing here, because you're going to get the idea of what it is. And when you come in with your darker brown, or whatever color you choose to use to give more definition. Did you hear my dog sigh? He's like, my gosh, she talks to herself. She talks to... I'm driving my dog nuts. And just go over. Because like I said, we're going to give it more definition. We're going to have it more of a... I haven't decided whether I'm going to do leaves or not on it. But... And here we are. It's just a general thing. Covering up kind of where the paint was on the paper that I really didn't want. The pinks, the colors that I had. And I'm not too worried about the underneath and the background yet because we're not going to get there. But what I do want to try is let's take, if I can get it. Okay. Let's take our stencil. Let me get a little bit of paint. And we're going to just paint it. And try to be quick. Should have got my other thing. I want to do it before it dries to get it down, but I'll do like the top half of what I can get. And I'm going to lay it down on here and then see if this does what I want it to do, or it's just going to be a blob. I'm just rolling it out. You can use whatever. You can use your paint thing, you know, bottle paint, whatever you have. Lift it up. Now, it's hard to see on here because of all the other colors and all. But that is a way to do it, is cover this with your paint and then turn it over and use it as a stamp, so to say. Give this a quick wipe off. If you don't want to go around with acrylic paint, you can set this down and spray around it. There's no rule. It's whatever you like to do, whatever you want to do, and whatever you have at home. You can cut out your own tree. You can use a heart. You can do whatever you want. I'm just so happen to be sitting here, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to put my brown away. Okay. And now I'm going to pick a really dark brown. Almost even black, but I'm going to use raw umber. I'm going to use a smaller brush. I'm going to take off the lid. And you can see how dark that is. I'm just going to use my brush. And I'm going to go in and kind of do a very light touch, a very quick. You don't have to cover it all because you want some of the highlights, some of the lowlights. You want the branches. Do it very like flowy. Like if you're watching up here, you just want to kind of give it a flow. You don't have to exactly follow what your stencil is. Because at the end, you just want it to look like a tree. You want, when you look at it, to say, oh, that's a tree. Or somebody to say, oh, that's a really cool tree. And lift it up. Do little squigglies. You see right here, it's just a little squiggly. Nothing has to be. This one has a little knot right here. And then we have a branch sticking off. The further you go out, once you get your paint on, the further you go out on the branch, just lift your paintbrush up a little bit. Trees are very, very healing for me. I love going and looking at trees. Even if you don't have any brown underneath, go ahead and make your branches. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to bring this up, take it up here. I want some more definition up here. So I'm just going to kind of you want them kind of to all converge into one or two branches where it looks like they're connected. And once you get this part done, and even as you're doing it, you can decide if you want to do greens on it. Do you want to make it have leaves? Or a nice full set? Who doesn't like a nice full set? Or do you want it to be a dead tree? I enjoy dead trees, but sometimes I like to have a little bit of life. It's a little bit winter, and not digging on the text that on there. The cold and no green, no flowers. I can't wait for spring. So I might do a green. Some green leaves. And just bring it out and play. Take a look, you know, stand back, lean back, whatever. Take a look and see. You might want to do a bird's nest in it. You know, we could do a nice little bird's nest here. Just do a little. And go back and we'll highlight that later. I'm trying to get you so you get the best. Okay. It's hard when the sun's not shining and you don't get no light in your room. And it's just really an easy touch. There doesn't have to be a rhyme or reason to it. If you want a thicker bottom, there you go. Another knot on that side, be my guest. It's your tree. You want to run a branch through it? Go for it. So there we have that. And our little nest. And a few touch-ups here and there. And you can always go back once you do the rest of whatever you're choosing to do and fill in what you want to do. So that's all I'm going to do with that part. Give that a minute to dry. Now let's go to our bottom part, which will be green. And I'm just going to take my lid off my green, and I'm just using a regular green color. Probably going to use my bigger brush and clean it out. Dry it a little bit on a napkin, or I have certain things that I use. And I'm just going to go in and kind of go around my tree. Not going to worry about the blue that I went through or anything else. I just want to kind of give it, anything underneath of it just adds texture. But I want to outline the tree. I can always go in with my smaller brush once I get the bigger pieces done. Because I'm only going to add these two colors. I'm going to add the greens and the blues. And you can add it in there because it'll add some more of the separation of the tree behind the background. So when you do this, just keep going in. You can thin out your branches if you want. And remember, this is journal play. This isn't anything that you have to worry about. You know, this is just fun. This is technique. This is learning how to use just several things that you have and use them to your advantage. Stencils are a great thing. They don't just have to be used in mixed media for, you know what I mean, adding textures and whatnot to your paints. You can also use them just as if you want to paint and use it as your main component. I love trees. I love drawing trees. Now, if you can see here, let's see how I can get you in there. I'm going to go in with a lighter color and kind of give this more texture, but I have some brown sticking up here. Let me see how close I can get you in there. And it almost looks like a bird sticking out of there, so I'm going to go with that. So, I love when little accidents like that happen. But do you see how the green now is, it's filling out and defining your tree. And when you go in with the little brush, which we will in a minute, you'll see how that works out a little bit better. This was just from more of the bigger parts. And if you want to go over it, you can. We're going to go over with a little bit more light. Color, maybe. We'll see. And you decide how far up you want your green. I mean, you can, you know, you can have a hill back here. You know, nobody, you know, if you're standing far away and you're looking and you have a tree and the grass is behind it, you can have a hill, the sky is behind it. You can do whatever you want. So I'm going to stop with my big brush, I believe, and I'm just going to clean it off on my other paper over here so I don't waste it. I'm going to get my small brush, rinse it and dry it. Go in and get some green, and you can see here, I'm just going to go in. If you can see, if I'm not blocking the light. I really got to play with my light in here. And just go in. Go over your branches, you know, if you want to give them a little bit more cover up, you know, whatever colors you have underneath. And this, like I said, this is a great use for something that you were trying paints on, like in your journal or on a piece of paper, but you don't want it to waste or you want to experiment. I would just went over all those colors. And it does add great texture and depth. And yet you're not wasting. I hate to waste. But I'm going to go in and just do all my little bits here. Decide how far up you want to go. Because again, you're just giving it definition of what you're seeing. I'm going to go around this a little bit more here. I'm going to go in there and get that bird going. Now I think I'm good with the green. Just rinse my brush off. Put my green away. And can you see how it's coming together? So let's pick a blue. Let's do a little bit of a lighter blue. And I'm just going to be using, and it's called Brilliant Blue. And I'll just take it off the lid like I do. And I'll use my big brush again. Now, something that you can do too is your scrub brush. Your scruffy. And what you could do is just kind of dip it in there. And on your page over here, where we're really not doing anything yet, kind of just give it a couple pounces to get it in there. And then just start going over. And then hit that pile again where you have it, where you cleaned it off. Until we get down to the details. There we go. Until we get down to the details of it. This is a great way to do it. You're adding texture. We'll add a little bit of white in there to get some leaves. I mean, some clouds. I don't think I'm going to do leaves on here. I'm not really sure. But just go down. Because at the end, you can go over the blue again. Or the tree again, rather. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of plant my brush a little bit on there. Take my little blue brush again. Get some more paint. And then just start going in and trailing it. Where I want them to be separate. Where I want the sky to be. The branches. And you kind of just do the swiping in between. Because it gives it more of a... The branch is more of a cool texture. And I know this is a lot to go through to save a journal page. But it's a great thing to do to teach yourself, if you make a mistake, what to do. Because you're starting on a piece of paper that you've already, or a journal page or whatever you're using, that already has stuff on it. And where do you go from there? And this gives you imagination. It helps with your imagination. Like, well, what can I do with this? Well, let me try this. And then if you don't like it, it doesn't matter. It's in your journal, and it was an experiment. That's what your journal's for. And I guess in a sense, this can be called like a mixed media type painting by the time we're done with it. But now in here, let's see. Dogs are going nuts for some reason today. Must be a lot of deliveries. I'm through here. Just do it as if it's the branches, because like I said, we're going to go over it one more time with the brown. And you want to have some definition. I get quiet when I start concentrating. And like I said, these, even though we know the blue's the sky, if you do it like this, it helps when you go back with the brown for the tree branches. Love my dogs. Like I said, there must be a lot of deliveries today out there. Because anything that goes down the street, they're barking. You know, if you go and you say, I don't want this green anymore, I want this to be blue, go over and make it blue. It's your painting. All right, so we have a general, you see what I'm saying here? We have a general idea. Is this going to be the most beautiful tree you've ever seen? No. It's giving you an idea. It's giving you an idea of what to do when you have extra, when you have these pages in your journal. And you see, I keep throwing all my paint on here, so this would be a whole other day of painting. So let me real quick try this. These. Hands aren't working today. Okay. Just going to give it a real quick, especially the blue, because I'm going to put some clouds in. Then I'm going to work on the nest. And go over the tree branches one more time. And that's just a general. I can sit here all day and play. But you see from where we started to where we are now, look at the difference. It went from basically this to this. Not bad. So let's do some, what they called clouds. I'm just going to do a little bit of white. And this, I'll just put on my page over there. I'm going to take my scruffy brush one more time. I'm going to rinse it out in my water. Kind of give it a pat down. And just going to give it a, like that. Oh, that's fun if that was going to. Okay, so you say, oh my goodness, that's a lot. Maybe. So we just go in with our towel. And you'll see what we'll do next. To give it more of a dimensional thing. If you want to put a little bit of white in here. In the background. So it just kind of looks like the sky's kind of behind it. Okay. Now that you did that, something you can also do is, let's see, down here. And I'm going to deal with that in a minute. Maybe we'll just do a few, I'm just going to do a few like this. And they're not clouds, you'll see what I'm going to do. Just to add a little bit of interest in the back. Okay, so we'll go over here with the rest of our white. Maybe I'll mix it in with my blue and add a little bit more blue. I'll do a little darker blue. Just a drop. And give it a swirl. And then go in. Leave the white in certain places. Because we're going to go in even darker, but we want it to be layered. So hit your... And remember, don't worry, you don't want to hit these too much, the branches. However, it's okay because we are going to, I'm just mixing that blue with a little bit of a darker blue. Just for me to I'm going to clean my pouncer off just for a minute. It doesn't have to be fully clean, but I'm going to mix them and then go in over top. And then start forming your clouds in a sense. Clouds have really no pattern. And we can go back and touch up with white when we're done. And if you want your sky darker, by all means, make it darker. Now it's a little bit wet, so I'm going to hit it for a minute. Hit it for a minute. She's funny. And why I'm drawing this is because when I go to put my white clouds back in, I don't want the colors to necessarily mix. I don't want my white to mix with the blues that I just put on here. So I kind of want to concentrate kind of where I'm going to put the whites, which I already know. Just so it gets a little bit dry. Hit in my white again. And then just do my, I can follow the patterns that I have of my clouds. And you're just touching it a little bit. Not no big deal. And once those are dry, we'll go around them with a little bit more dark. It's just so you see, you get a dimension with it. And I know it's kind of hard to see because you're kind of getting a glare. But it's just so you have a little bit of dimension. Like I said, once that's all, once the sky's dry, I'm going to go in with a little bit more of the dark. I'll get this area done here. Finish that up. Alright, so let's work on our nest right now. Can you see the sky? It's still a little wet, but once we get done, I'm going to go in a little bit with the dark so it looks more like a clear blue sky day and just a little bit of the shadows of the there we go, of the sky and clouds and trees. I'm going to take my little brush again. Going to go in here and just highlight it. Now you can see I had a little bit of water on my brush, which I'm not real happy with. But what are you going to do? You're just going to take your cloth and kind of dab it up. And go in and just give it, I'll do a little bit of white on that nose right there. But just so it kind of looks like a little textured. We can go in. Because this is the lighter brown, it's not going to make that much of a difference. It'll go a little bit deeper. My dog's trying to get my garbage here. But I can frame out more of my tree. Over my and this is the lighter color. Of course, you're going to go back over it with the darker color. I'm not going to sit and bore you through all that. But I just want to show you. You just go through. The darker colors will make more of our leaves, our branches show more. But these will give it the highlights that it needs for when we go over. The video is a lot for me to play, honestly. To play with my journal book, and not only for that, it's for, this is a little knot right here, give a little bit of, it's to show you that you don't have to feel so closed in or stuck when you have you have, like, we all have these journals that we try all these things in, and they sit. And one of my New Year's resolutions, thanks to, let me use a little bit more raw umber, thanks to Crafty Link and, you know, my design team on there, that I'm on the design team I'm on the Crafty Link with, and blah, blah, blah. And friends, you know, I'm kind of in a rut. I've been, I think, through November, since November. But what I'm happy with is I want to finish my journals. I have so many journals sitting here half done. Some are, you know, good journals. Some are journals I just play and experiment in. Some are journals like you see like this, where I'm like, oh, what's this color going to look like? How's this going to react? And I thought, you know, how much fun to show that, you know what, I'm sure there's more than me out there who have these journals, that have these pages that you look at and you think, what the, you know, what did I do? Or what do I do now? Or is it ruined? Nothing ever has to be ruined. And I think that's part of the fun of mixed media. You just take what you have and you work with it. And like I said, this isn't going to be a masterpiece, but it's going to be a lot better than it was. It's not going to be a wasted page. And I'm just trying to show you that, you know, do a tree, use a stencil, use a stamp, use whatever you have. There are so many. I have a couple. I know many people have a few of how you can make your own stamps out of you know, the child's foam, fun foam, and or how you can make stencil. I mean, I use Amazing Mold Putty for it. I use so many things. So you can make your basic and just follow and add your own touches to it. Nobody says you can't. People use magazine faces, you know, in their journals and stuff just to get inspiration. Think outside that box. Think outside that box. So that's what I'm trying to show. You saw what the page looked like before. Now you might think, ew, that looks worse than it did before she started. But you know what? I don't care, because I had fun doing it. It inspired me. And when I look at it now, it'll encourage me to, you know, go over more pages. I still have this page over here to do that I'll do at another time with another theme. Now you can go off and do your little, you know, your little twirls and your little things like that. Make your tree as big, as you know, bare, as wild as you want. I love dead trees, but, you know, not everybody does. So I'll show you one quick thing that you can do if you want to do a tree like this, but you don't want them to be bare. And I'll show it on my other page. Matter of fact, I'll just, while this is drying, I'll just do a quick tree here. No, this is not a fancy tree. This is just to show you with a few branches in a minute what I'm going to do. I mean, look, just doing that, I mean, you have a tree. Nobody tells you how the tree looks. Have you ever been out? I go out looking at tree hunting. I don't look for Bigfoot. I look at dead trees. But let's pretend. And I'll show you that in a minute, what else you can do. So that's basically, I can go in, I can do different things. I can really define the branches better. I can do a lot. It's hard because it's still wet, so it's hard to kind of see up here the sky. I want to do a little bit darker, so I want to get what color do I want? Purple would be pretty. My dogs are going nuts today. They're driving me crazy. Maybe I'll just do cobalt blue. And I'm going to use it with my sponge brush. I'm just going to use the lid. It's just whatever brand, cobalt blue, whatever blue you have. You don't have to use cobalt blue. I'm just telling you the color. I know there's a million blues. I know I have them all from, I love folk art. paints and whatnot. But I'm just going to do my brush and just kind of see the difference in the blue. And I'm going to frame out my clouds. Now, I probably would have been better off if I would have waited a little bit for the trees themselves to dry. But I just kind of want to give you an idea. And this just adds some more depth, more texture, you know, to wherever you want it to be. And you can do, I would probably do this before I would go over my branches for the last time. But because I'm sitting here and my mind doesn't work that way right now. But you see what I'm saying? And it gives it a whole other look. Again, it's wet, so it's going to look a little too shiny for you on there. And I will get it to you dry in a second. Now, while this dries, and I'm going to hit it with the heat gun one more time. This is a very long video. Holy moly. Okay. I'm not going to keep it much longer. I'm going to give you 2 more tips. 2 more things. Let me just dry this for a second to get started. Okay. Number 1 tip. Let's go over here to this page. This is where I did my fake little tree. I want to show you something fun. If you don't like how I do, the dead trees, you can do leaves. Now, I like to take 2 colors. I like to take a dark green, and I'm going to put it on here. A little dark green, just a little bit, and my light green. This is Gecko, great color, and just a little squirt of that. I'm going to put them next to each other. I've been storing my acrylic paints upside down, most of them, and I'm going to dip in with my sponge, what is it called again? Scruffy brush. Alright, so going in, tapping. Now, we want to do leaves on this. You don't want it to be dead, you say. So you just kind of lightly, just go in and twirl and tap. Very lightly, go over the branches. You'll do 2 coats. Now, my brush is a little bit too wet for this, but you're going to get the gist of it. And you can make it as wide as you want the leaves to be. Now, this is one way that you can mix your colors where you don't have to have so much colors to add to each other. I like adding. So I like to go lighter to darker because I think it adds depth. But let's pull this dry for a real quick second. If I get a really deep green, okay, we'll just put it down here for now. And this is a deeper green. Put it on my brush, which, like I said, it's a little bit wet. And I just go like this. Look how it covers the branches. And you want to see when you look at leaves, you see the branches, through them. If you start like this, and I probably won't be able, this is way too long of a video, but if you go like this, leave it dry. Okay, let's leave it dry. You know what I'll do while that's drying? I want to show you this one thing over here while I have the paint. Okay, you see this down here where I put these white things? Watch how fun. And you could do any color and you could do any type of flower. But because I have this green sitting here, it's probably not going to be dark enough. But what I would do is take a wicked dark green, almost like, add a little bit of black into it to make it darker. But now you have these flowers, and you just kind of go and you do your stems down in the background. Again, I would do this, probably before you do your tree, if you don't feel, confident. Let me see if I can get a darker color. Darker color. Let's use, yeah. Alright. This is more of a sky color, but I just want to show you. Just dip your little brush in there and just run. Very simply. And you could do two, like as if it's two flowers. You got a little flower back here. Think about putting these everywhere. And they're just little, you just do a little, toot, toot. You know, if you go on the tree a little bit, wipe it up. It's just to add a little bit more dimension. And a little bit more, you know, you have flowers. How cute are flowers? And again, I would sit longer and do, you know, more in-depth flowers for you in the whole 9 yards. And I'd go highlight this with, let's see if I can find it. It's right here. I would take bronze. And this is just basics bronze. And I would go and highlight my tree a little bit. Now, do trees have metallic in them? No, but they do have bark and they do have some texture. What is fun? Molding paste. You can go in with your paintbrush and go over it with molding paste, which I've done a few of those. And it gives the bark texture, and then go over and paint it. I mean, the ideas are endless, but it gives it a little highlight. My little bird. I'll highlight my little bird. He's just sitting there. I'll have to give him a little beak. His little, yeah, there's no, this is just having fun. Yeah, you want to add more flowers? Pick a different color, add flowers. Add some pink. Okay. I know I'm boring you guys because I start getting involved in what I do. All right, now last thing, I promise. Let me show you. Wrong brush. Let me make sure I get this really good and dry. Okay, so my scruffy brush I'm going to take, and I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to do a little bit of the light green, the gecko green. And just show you very quickly. Look how you highlight. Very lightly. And look at that highlight. It's awesome. Look. And you're just slightly highlighting it. Now you could do this the opposite way and do the light first and then the dark. It's your choice. I'd rather do light than dark, but it doesn't matter. You see it works either way. So you have beautiful, you know, beautiful leaves. So I think that's all I want to kind of play around here today and show you. Let me turn it around. So we started off, like I said, I can go on with this one for, let me take it back a minute. I can go on with this forever, this page. But you see, it started out with as a practice page of sprays and whatnot. And you turn it into whatever you want. Like I said, I can go spend a little bit more time on this tree. I can add more flowers and make it have wildflowers. The sky. And now you have a page. I would probably write freedom on it. You know, maybe go in with a marker. You know, I don't know. Over here, if you want to do the same thing, but you want the leaves on the trees, look at the highlights of these leaves. I mean, and that's just something I just threw together, which I'll do over this page another day. But, I mean, there's so many things you can do, and this is so basic. And all this started out was this stencil. And, you know, did I embellish on it a bit? Yeah, but it gave me that guidance of where to go from there. So, you know, something else? You have Punchinella? You know, do a full moon. Do yellow and do a full moon. Do whatever you want to do. It's fun. It's fun. Use your spray paints or your paint markers or inks or whatever you have and do a moon. Probably won't sit on there good, but do a cool sun. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Make it drip. Just because you feel like it, because you're playing. Like I said, there's nothing wrong. Just play. Don't waste your pages thinking, oh, I didn't do the, didn't do right, didn't do this, didn't do that. Like I said, you can see my highlights on here so good on the camera because the light's reflecting, but when you see it in person, it's not as, it's just highlights. It's not the same. So you get this, I just played around. So thanks for watching, and look at these pages I have to play with. Thanks for watching and humoring me. If you have any ideas, any questions, anything, just leave me a comment. And I hope that you guys play a little bit. Play this year. Make that one of your New Year resolutions. Play. Don't get discouraged. Play. So many blessings to y'all. Have a great day, and I will see you soon.